Welcome back to the Tank Me Later podcast. This is episode 17, and Adam King is once again joining me to talk about our 30-team dynasty startup. We finally finished that draft. It took forever. I actually don't have the exact timing of when we finished and started, so I guess I could look that up, but it took a long time, but we finally have everything done. All the rosters are set. We've even had some trades, so we'll talk about those. But first off, Adam, I know it's bright and early. I know nothing has happened for you so far today, but how are you doing?
I'm good. It always looks like I'm in a dungeon recording because it's dark and it's raining here this morning, so it's cloudy as well as dark. So yeah, but no. Other than that, enjoying my Saturday so far.
That's good. Oh yeah, I guess it would be Saturday there, so it's a nice weekend. So thank you for waking up bright and early to join me to discuss all this. And first things first, before we talk about that, as we're recording this, I don't know if I'm going to put this out tonight or tomorrow morning, but it'll be out soon enough that this is still recent news. Anthony Davis just signed a 3-year, $186 million extension that ties him with the Lakers through the year 2028. So I think that would be the 2027-2028 season. So that is, I believe, 5 more seasons with the Lakers that he's under contract. I'm going to go ahead and say that is going to be past LeBron's tenure with the team. He could prove me wrong. He could play another 5 seasons. I just don't think so. So AD is kind of – the Lakers are mortgaging their future on Anthony Davis being able to keep them a contender. And when he's on the floor, I think that they're right. I don't think anybody would disagree when he plays that he's one of the best players in the league. But obviously that has been a little bit of an issue the past few seasons. We were talking about it before, Adam. We talked about 3-year, $186 million. That's an average. I'm pretty sure the math doesn't work out exactly when you look at the contract details, but just 186, that's $62 million a year. I think they would be pretty thrilled if he plays 62 games a year, which actually I'm going to go ahead and pull up how many. He played 56 this past season. He actually played 62 during the bubble season that they won the championship. And since then, it's been 36, 40, and 56. So he hasn't hit 62 games in a season since they won the championship. Yet they're going to be giving him $62 million. So that's over $1 million for each game that he plays. Adam, what's kind of your thoughts on what this means for him and the Lakers now that we put that into perspective a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of money. And as we touched on, probably in 5 years, he'll be playing 20 games a season. So $2 million a game or however that works out. But, look, I mean, he's proven what he can do. Everyone knows how good he is. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but he is that good that he would demand that much money. So if you want to keep him, you've got to pay him. And yeah, I don't know. Look, I think this season the Lakers are going to be pretty good. They're going to want to compete with the roster that they've got. They know the window on LeBron is closing very quickly, so this could be the last season that they're with LeBron, depending on what happens with his son and the draft and everything beyond. So, and I guess they see Anthony Davis as the future beyond LeBron James. So, yeah, look, I mean, good on him. If you can get that much money doing anything, then you're doing well. And that's the league. I mean, Jaylen Brown just got $300 million for 5 years, whatever it is. So it's certainly a lot of money, but that's where we're headed. These superstars are earning this kind of money. So there's already talk of who's going to be the first $400 million player. And Shai, you've got the Thunder hat on. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's name has been tossed up as the guy that could be the first $400 million player. So it's pretty mind-blowing because for me, and that's American. For me here, that's sort of, you got to add another 30% to that to get Australian dollars.
Okay, so that's even that's a good bit more. So that explains Laker ticket prices, I guess, if we're going to go ahead and put it in perspective that way. If the reason they're outrageous is because they have to afford to pay this one guy $1 million a game. and then obviously still the rest of the team, everybody working in the arena. So I guess they have a reason to charge ridiculous amounts for their tickets, along with all those celebrities that sit courtside.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm going to be in LA in October, and I haven't even looked at ticket prices. I'm not even considering going to a Lakers game. I'll go to some other cities where it's a little bit cheaper.
Go to a Clippers game, or maybe a Kings game. Maybe make the drive out there because
I think
those
Kings
aren't as cheap anymore.
No, they wouldn't be, but I'm sure they're cheaper than Lakers tickets.
Absolutely, definitely. Yeah. And you mentioned the Thunder hat. I have, goodness, so many hats just sitting in my closet that I occasionally told myself I would wear for podcasts. And luckily, my hair wasn't agreeing with me today because I need a haircut. So I threw one on, and I decided to wear a Thunder hat because I didn't draft any Thunder players in this startup. Because I looked through, I was like, oh, maybe I drafted a Thunder player, and that'll be cool. Nope, not one. So
yeah, I don't think I did either. Did I?
Oh, please, hopefully.
No, I did not. So
nice. So we'll give them some representation. That's what the goal of this is. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get into. Actually, I'll explain this. So I post these podcasts on obviously Apple, Spotify. I just started getting on Google. Actually, B-Dub recommended that. I couldn't figure it out because I didn't really put much effort into it. But now it's on Google as well. It's also on YouTube. I usually just kind of say, hey, like I'm recording video. I'll just throw it on YouTube as well. Not make any video edits. One, because I don't want to pay for a video editing software. They're expensive. And that's really my main reason. And two, I guess I don't really want to take the time to edit videos, but somebody commented on one of my videos and basically said, hey, like you need to add something. Like these are really, and I started thinking about it. I was like, yeah, if anybody watches on YouTube, they just have to watch sometimes just me by myself talking to a camera for an hour and a half straight. I'm like, that's fair. That's fair. I probably should. So I decided to take a page out of your book and just add a slideshow that will hopefully at least give viewers something else to look at other than my face. So gonna try this. Nice title slide using Google Slides. But we'll go ahead and so this is round one of the startup. Just a reminder, we ended up going 13 rounds. We were originally going 11, but Rhett ended up DMing me and basically saying, hey, I have way too many people in my queue. This draft probably needs to be longer. And I looked at who was available and I was like, yeah, we probably could go 2 extra rounds. Like there's some guys that are probably going to be starters for teams this season because everybody's going upside swings. There's going to be starters for team this season that are going to be sitting on the waiver wire. And in Dynasty, waiver wire isn't super active. It's weekly lineups too. So you're setting your line at the beginning of the week. You're not changing it till the next week, which just makes it easier on everyone. But you're probably also not sitting there making roster changes every day as well. So the goal of Dynasty is kind of to build your team, invest in guys, take your late swings on guys you think are going to be good. And then if they pan out, then you did a good job. So we went 2 extra rounds, just added some depth, but we still are we have our starting 5, all flex spots. So you can kind of build your team however you want. And then 8 bench spots. We didn't do any minors, which is kind of like just young players that are just going to sit there and you can't actually put them in your lineup, but you can just have them on your roster, just kind of keep them there so nobody else can steal them. It's kind of a thing, but I don't know. I just like having extra guys in my roster and extra roster spots. So I just did that. But we have the results of the first round. I didn't include the team, but I have that in front of me. Adam, if we want to talk about anybody specifically, but I bolded our picks. I got Victor Wembanyama at 2. You got Cade at 9. I know last time we had kind of talked about those already, why we went with the guys that we did, but is there anything else about this first round that kind of stands out to you at all?
Look, not really. I mean, I guess the fact that it's all flex may have impacted some people's. Probably not as much in the first round, but second, third round, I think there'll be some impact that we'll see with guys going maybe a little bit too high or falling a little bit. No, look, I mean, Victor at 2. I think that's sort of a bit of a discussion, but as you said, we've had it. Do you take Luka at 2? Do you take Victor at 2? I like LaMelo at 4. I know a few people are down on LaMelo just coming off last season, but yeah, I think LaMelo's top 5, top 6 guy. So that seems fine. Giannis is probably a little bit high for me, just given. I mean, the age, you could say the same about Jokic, but just the whole knee thing, they've come out and said that this is an ongoing thing for him. It's not something that was isolated to last season or anything like that. So maybe a fraction high, but he's still really good. So, yeah, I mean, there's obviously people have very, very different trains of thought here. So you can see me going with Cade, Anthony Edwards, Shea, McCall Bridges, Evan Mobley, Chet Holmgren, very young. And then you've got those people that went with like Steph Curry at 14, Giannis at 10. So straight away, you sort of might think, okay, well, these guys are probably going to look to win now with these players because their window of production is a lot smaller when you're 35 than compared to when you're 22. So straight away, just looking at this first round, you could probably have a look at which teams are going to lean into a win now or a win in the next couple of years at least.
Yeah, and just a reminder in case anybody's just listening to this for the first time, didn't listen to the last time we talked about it or didn't see anything on Twitter, the Mikal Bridges pick was an auto draft. Mikal Bridges at 13. And it was just because Fantrax's rankings are just incorrect. I don't know why it is the way it is, if they just kind of threw in some random numbers just to have something right now. Personally, I don't mind it because then if somebody doesn't really know who they want to take, they can't just take the best available and not really put much thought into it. You have to put a little bit more thought into your picks instead of just relying on the apps or websites ranking system already. Whereas, if you're doing like an ESPN or a Yahoo draft, like I feel like a lot of people end up doing that. And just one more thing about Wemby, because this hadn't happened the last time we talked about this. I'm in another 30-team startup that Rhett Bauer's hosting, his punt intended podcast league. I think it's not his first one, but it's another one that he's starting up right now. He had the number 1 pick and he took Wemby at 1. And I haven't heard any backlash. I need to hear more backlash about because I received backlash, barely any, and I think I was able to explain it just fine. But he took him over Jokic too, and I haven't heard one negative thing about it. So I don't know. Maybe we need to question Red a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, look, maybe. Yeah, I think Jokic is still sort of that clear number 1, but. I mean, yeah, just the upside of what Wembanyama might do it's so enticing that I have no issue taking him at 1 either. Yeah. But I'm happy to make comment and complain.
Yeah, no, I mean, I might have to start something on Twitter and just call them out for it. But no, if I had it in my old dynasty rankings. I'm actually working on updating them because going through multiple dynasty mocks and startups at the same time has made me realize that I really like my top 7. I like my top probably 100 players a good bit, maybe mixing around a little bit as I'm working through it. But pretty much after that, they're awful and I hate my rankings. So I need to redo the whole thing. On my dynasty rankings. So as I've gone through mocks, I've realized that. So I'm working on that. But without a doubt, to me, it's Jokic 1, Luka 2, Wemby 3 as dynasty rankings. And then some combination, whatever order you want, of LaMelo, Halliburton, SGA, and Tatum. Like that's the clear top 7 to me. And then Anthony Edwards at 8. And then I think you can that's when you go in the direction of, or am I going to go Cade Cunningham? Or am I going to go Joel Embiid? I think those are probably my next 2 or if you have somebody else that you like where it's kind of like, am I going to go young or am I going to go win now? And that's to me how the top 10 should work out. There's obviously other guys you can consider in those spots. I mean, Giannis went 10 in this one. I don't have an issue with it, especially when we talk about the all flex starting lineups. I haven't looked at how the rest of that team panned out, but you can easily do a free throw / turnover / 3-pointer punt and get a really, really good team around Giannis. But I believe.
Yeah, I've got the squad
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
So, yeah, Giannis was pick 1. Next, he picked DeJounte Murray, Jimmy Butler, Jeremy Sohan, Dyson Daniels, and then into your sort of fringy guys. But he got Gordon Hayward reasonably late. Took Lonzo Ball as well. I don't know. I mean, we'll get to that round at some point, but was that a...
So I think that ended up, it's messed up on Fantrax because it's just the draft results. It was Rhett had that pick and then he traded it. So Giannis actually goes with the Houston Mill Street Cafe team.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just messed up on Fantrax, but so I believe they have Maxey, but just traded Maxey, which we'll get into. Rudy Gobert and Jakob Pertl. I mean, hey, that's rebounds, blocks with a free throw punt between those guys. So it works out with Giannis. So I get that. So I believe, did you have any more thoughts on any of these guys? I mean, actually, I'll just go ahead and give one or two more quick ones. But just looking at this, Fox is probably a little high for me. But if you look at it, if it's all flex, you can punt whatever the heck you want. Don't have to worry about positions. You can go all scoring guards with assists. Fox obviously becomes a lot more valuable, especially late in the first round. The only other one that I'm probably, going Steph Curry at 14 is a little early for me. But if you're going win now, that's fine. And the same thing with Kevin Durant. I think I wrote like 10 players to kind of avoid in drafts this season, and KD was one of them, just because of his lack of games played. I'm probably not getting KD anywhere, both redraft or dynasty, simply for that reason. But obviously, when he's on the court, he's one of the best in the league. So it's like, if he is healthy, then I look stupid. So I get it.
Yeah, I'm not really targeting Durant anywhere this season. Zion's interesting there at 29. The upside is there, and look, you're picking basically on the turn there. So I'm not sure who this person paired Zion with.
It was, I believe, Scotty Barnes and Jalen Duren was, yeah.
Yes, it was. Yeah, okay. So yeah, look, that team. That's an interesting. I'm just looking through the whole roster of that team.
Very young team.
Very young. So no, look, I like Zion there. I'm a glass half full person whenever it comes to fantasy. So I'm hoping that Zion can turn things around this season and get healthy and stay healthy and put all the off court stuff behind him. I'm not confident. I mean, if you're on Twitter, you see all sorts of rumors, but we hear things from the other players that he's not committing and he's not putting in the effort, all that sort of stuff. I really hope that's not the case, and that he can come out and play well. Because I mean, as we saw last season, for the first 30 games or however long it was, the Pelicans were on top of the West and looked awesome. So yeah, I'm hoping that repeats and he plays really well. So if that's the case, Zion at 29 here is a great pick.
Yeah, it can definitely end up being, and he's got time to figure that out with the young team that he paired it with. And then round 2, as we move into it, you went Brandon Ingram at 52. I went Onyeka Okongwu at 59. I don't think I've made this or kept this as a secret. I'm a Hawks fan. I don't think when we talked about it last time that you had any issue with me taking him there. I think at the time that was a little bit of a reach in my rankings, but I wanted the blocks to go with Wemby as well as an Atlanta Hawk to call mine. So that's kind of why I went there. Do you want to talk a little bit about why you went BI or any other picks that kind of stood out to you here?
Yeah, look, I went with Ingram. From memory, I wanted Maxi and I wanted Brunson. So they went
That's the way it goes.
because I went with Cade, obviously, with my first pick. So straight away, I'm thinking, okay, I'm punting blocks. I'm punting big man stats. So I'm looking for assists. I'm looking for steals. Um, looking for some threes. So I mean, Ingram sort of fits that. He gets some assists. Doesn't get as many steals as I'd like, and as many as I feel he could get. I feel his length is he doesn't use it to the best of his ability. But he'll get some threes. He's solid from the free throw line. So sort of does what I wanted. Um, as I said, I would have preferred Maxi there, just slightly younger. But Ingram's what 27 or something. I think he's not
Something like that.
super old. So he's potentially one of the oldest ones on my roster. Actually, I think when I ended up looking back through it. Other than Udonis Haslam, who I took with my last pick, but he'll be making his way back to the waiver wire. That was just a shout out pick, really.
I mean, you got to respect it. I mean, it's good culture pick right there. You're really trying to get the team chemistry going. A guy who knows what it takes to win that can really rub off on the rest of the guys. I get that.
Who's retired now, so
he's basically your coach. You brought in a head coach. Nobody else thought to even do that. So you guys have a good strategy. Brandon Ingram is about to turn 26. So if that's the oldest 26 on your team, that's not bad.
Yeah. So no, look, I was happy to get him there. It would have been nice if a few other guys had fallen, but that's not going to happen when you're drafting with people that know what they're doing. Like a Desmond Bain there would have been great, but he's never really going to fall that far. I did consider Devin Vassell. I'm pretty high on Devin Vassell as well. Long term, I thought we saw some really nice flashes last season. So I did consider him there. I just went with Ingram more for the scoring. I think in my punt build, I need points, and points are really hard to get. As you get deeper into any draft, it's hard to get points. But so I figured pairing Brandon Ingram and Cade Cunningham would sort of give me combined maybe 50 points a game, which I think is nice from your first two picks. And yeah, Okongwu, no issues taking Okongwu there at all. I think once he's set free and he's starting and playing 32 minutes, he'll be top 40 easily.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope. I was also hoping. Well, I was hoping Vassell fell to me, not that I passed on him. But I don't know if you knew this, Adam. He was in my region in high school, so we played against him 2 to 3 times a year. Obviously, well, not obviously, but I was sitting on the bench getting front row seats to watching Vassell twice a year, so it was pretty cool. When he was playing JV, I got to play against him, but when he was in the varsity games, I was sitting on the bench in varsity getting to watch him twice a year. So very familiar with him.
I would imagine, I mean, we obviously don't college basketball, that sort of, I guess that I don't know, genre is not the right word, but college basketball in the States is massive. Here, it's not really a thing. So any young players that are coming up here in Australia head to America, basically. A lot of them do. So we don't get that experience of watching them in high school and watching them in college and that sort of thing. And I think you just forget, like, these guys that make the NBA, even if they're role players, guys that aren't superstars, I would imagine in playing down in that when they're in varsity, high school, college, they're just going to dominate. Like they would be, I could just think he would be so much better than anyone else on the court watching him at that level.
So we had a really, really tough region. A lot of Division I players, just where I'm from. But I remember, so he got an offer because he went to Florida State. That was, to my understanding or recollection, maybe it was his only Power 5 offer, but I think it may have been, I think it was only Power 5 conference offer. He got that because they were playing against, I don't know if you know this is Ashton Hagans, who was a 5-star recruit, went to Kentucky, I think just didn't play very well there. Ended up going in the second round of the Warriors. I don't even know what he's doing now, but their team was playing against them, and Devin had, I think, 36 that game, and Florida State was there to watch. Ashton Higgins ended up offering Devin Vassell at that game. And I remember hearing about it or seeing it on Twitter, and I was texting some of my teammates, like, he was a good player our freshman, sophomore year. He was like really, really good junior, senior year. But I was thinking, I was like, I don't think he's D1 good. Like he's good, but I don't think he's like a Division I player. And then now he's in the NBA and averaging, I don't remember what he may have averaged 18 a game this year or 20,
something
which is
like that. Yeah,
just nuts. But yeah, so now every time he's available in fantasy, I try and get him where I can. So
yeah, I think he's going to be really good. I think, and putting better players around him, which the Spurs that's going to be their goal over the next couple of years, is only going to help him. I think.
Yeah, no, I think he's really good for fantasy. He gets steals and blocks, hits threes. But yeah, so I thought that was a really good pick at 55. I was fingers crossed for him to get 59. The other pick that I thought was incredible value was Lauri Markkanen at 37. In my previous dynasty rankings, I had him at 19. I think I still have him at 19 in the new ones I'm working on right now. So that was a really good pick to get at 37. Shout out to Pat Mamba. That's Next Level Fantasy. I don't know if you've seen him on Twitter, but does good work.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. Again, I think it depends on build and win now. We've already talked about the win now team. Started with Steph Curry, added LeBron at 47. And then I think third round, he ended up going Paul George. So full win now team there, which we talked about the first time we talked about this. I'm not going LeBron in the top 100 probably if I'm doing a dynasty startup. But
yeah,
I get the win now idea. I get it. Hopefully he's not. I think I may have. Never mind. I'm not going to make that joke again. I know I made it the first time about him trying to win and then leave the league. So I'm not going to make it again. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, look, I don't know. Like again, I'm no fantasy expert, but if you're going to go with that mindset of win now, you need to either go hard or don't do it at all. Because if you sort of, I think I want to win now, but I'm not sure, then in 2 years, if you haven't won, you lose this guy who was your second round pick, and you're not really any further ahead in terms of development because you've lost a key piece. You have got nothing to show for it. So you either have to draft all old for the first 3 or 4 picks, or not necessarily old, but productive, producing already. So, yeah, I mean, going Steph Curry, LeBron, and Paul George, certainly going to win if they're healthy, though. That's you need to consider that because all 3 players last year probably only played 50-odd games, I would think. I don't know, but I remember them all being injured.
Yeah, and that may have been generous for a couple of them as well. Curry played 56. LeBron played 55. And Paul George played 56. Okay, so maybe you were spot on and I was off. Yeah, so that was, games played is a worry, which I think everybody kind of knows at this point. The other notables from the second round that I see were both the Thompson twins going. Amen at 44, Asar at 57. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the second round. Do you have any others?
No, look, yeah, I mean, I like the Lowry pick. I don't mind the Claxton pick at 53. I think he's going to have quite a few years of top 50 production. Jabari Smith at 54, coming off Summer League, he was really impressive there. So hopefully he's going to get closer to his potential because I think his rookie season was pretty disappointing. So, I think there's some nice value there, some nice win now guys, a lot of young guys. So,
yeah.
On to the third round.
On to the third round, indeed. You went Markelle Fultz at 82. I went Tari Eason at 89. Let's see. A couple other picks I'll just highlight. Rookies. Brandon Miller went 70. Jarris Walker went 87. Think those are the only two rookies that went in this round. Kevin Porter Jr. went 71. I think looking at it now, I don't remember if we talked about this the first time, maybe a tad early considering Fred VanVleet and Amen Thompson are there now. So Houston has, I think, 9 players that just off the bat you probably are going to say we'll say 8. We'll see about Cam Whitmore. I like him as a talent, but I think it's easy to kind of say he's a rookie that slipped in the draft. He may not play a ton his rookie season. We'll kind of see how good. I mean, he was really, really good in Summer League MVP, but that doesn't necessarily mean minutes when there's Dylan Brooks and Tari Eason and Jabari Smith in front of him. Jordan Poole went 64. That was good, really good value to me. I had him at 41. I want to say 41. Still have him at 41 in my rankings. So that was really good value. He's going to be really freaking good this season, especially. And then he was really good in Golden State, not this past season, but the season before. But he struggled this season. See, the thing that blows my mind is people are writing him off because, I mean, that's what people do. Like, that's fine. I do it too. But he was really good the season before in Golden State. Most of the time when he did really well, it was when he was starting alongside Steph. Klay comes back. Klay plays most of the season. Jordan Poole struggles in a 6-man role. But when he starts, he's still really, really good. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he still averaged 20 a game of the season, but when he started, he was averaging at 24 with 6 assists or something. And now he's going to Washington where they're going to play him 36 minutes a game or 30, maybe not, maybe 32, 34, but he's going to play a lot, have the green light. I don't know. We'll start with that if you want. Do you have any other thoughts on Jordan Poole? I know I just kind of rambled a bit.
No, I think he's going to be really good this year. I think people forget about the assists upside with him. It's all about the scoring and how many points is he going to score, and he'll be 25 plus, I think, this year. But that assists upside, anyone that can get you 5-6 assists is it's really useful. And I mean, I'm sure you've heard, and again, this is the whole Twitter thing with rumors that they may look at running him as the point guard and bringing Tyus Jones off the bench. I don't know why you'd do that, but it's Washington. So I don't think they will, but nonetheless, Poole's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to be starting. He's going to have an opportunity to both score and facilitate. So, yeah, look, I think he obviously had some issues there with the Warriors and some of the other players, and Draymond Green obviously wasn't a fan of his. So just getting him out of that environment, I think he's going to do wonders for his confidence and hopefully allow him just to focus on, hey, I'm the starter. They're giving me the keys. I'm good to go. Not worrying about playing for the Warriors and all the pressure of winning and coming off a championship year. And so, yeah, with all of that gone, I think he's going to be really good this season.
Yeah, I think exactly that. And also, I don't know if you saw this in the Discord, because I know we talked about it before, and you have a million Discord channels that you're in, so you may not catch everything. If you're interested, Jordan Poole is on the trade block. So if you're interested in acquiring him, he is on the trade block because we appear to have only one team that is interested in actually trading for picks. Everybody else is interested in trading away all of their picks to get good players. And then the Arkansas Rim Rockers are interested in trading away all their players for picks and starting the slow rebuild. I'm sure that'll change after a few weeks and more teams may look to tank. But if you're interested, he said 2 to 3 firsts and a young guard. And he texted me about it. He said, "You think this looks good?" I said, "That's incredibly ambitious." And he said, That's the goal. So I'm outing him a little bit here. So I think that might be the high point, starting point. So you can probably talk him down a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking at my roster now. I'm intrigued.
Okay, we'll see. Maybe maybe we'll have the trade done before we finish this episode. That would be remarkable if you could go through trade negotiations while also podcasting. That would be pretty cool.
Well, my team's sort of young enough that I can consider trading away a couple of firsts.
Okay.
Because I did go pretty young. It would just be probably the young guard. I'm not sure exactly what that might entail. I have a lot of young guards, but how young is young, and how good do they have to be?
Yeah, this young guard named Udonis Haslem is available for trade. I hear.
Oh yeah, here we go. Pool. Yeah, right. Okay, keep talking. And
good to know. Yeah, so that's the third round. You've talked about liking Markelle Fultz a good bit, but obviously Anthony Black, who goes next round, may impact that a little bit as you hear Adam typing away about his trade proposal. But a lot of young guys went in this round. I mentioned Brandon Miller and Jarris Walker as the rookies, but also Trey Murphy, 72, Shaedon Sharpe, 73, Mark Williams, 74, Keegan Murray, 78, Emmanuel Quickley, 85. We'll see. He's so good, but he's now Jalen Brunson is there. The Knicks have a point guard for the first time in like 25 years. And so now Quickley's still stuck on the bench, and there's actually a legit reason for it. Whereas before it was kind of like, why isn't he starting? So are they going to start him at shooting guard? Are they going to trade him? I don't know. And then I got Tari Eason. So a lot of young guys went this round. Oh, Jalen Duren also went 62. I'll ask you one question before we go on to the next round. Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Duren, and Mark Williams. There's actually a little bit of space between them, with Mark Williams slipping 12 picks past Duren. Okongwu, I took 3 picks before Duren. How do you it's pretty hard for me to separate between them because they're all athletic bigs that are going to rebound, shoot a high percentage, block shots. I believe Jalen Duren's free throw percentage is a little lower, but he's also the youngest. How do you kind of stack those guys up? Is it just situation for you, or is there any of those guys that you like significantly more than the others?
I think I'd probably have Williams as third in that bunch, and then in terms of first, second, I'd probably have Okongwu at the top, just because I think he does a little bit more and has scope to do a little bit more offensively as well. Duren, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I worry with Duren and Williams that they're going to be a little bit. I mean, not that Rudy Gobert is bad, but a little bit in that mold of 3 category guys. So rebounds, blocks, field goal percentage, and that's it. I don't necessarily, although Duren hit a couple of threes, I think, in Summer League. Am I right in saying that?
I think he also had like a off the dribble mid-range pull-up, which was kind of crazy.
So if he's looking to add that, which I think a lot of these big guys have to nowadays, just with the way the NBA is going. So, but I can see Okongwu sort of not transforming, but adding that mid-range to his game. The downside with Okongwu, obviously, is that he's a fraction undersized. He isn't as tall. So he relies a little bit more on that athleticism to get blocks and positioning. So, look, I think they're all going to be really good players long term, and I don't think you can really go wrong. But I'd probably have Okongwu slightly ahead, but I think you could make a case for Duren as well.
Yeah, and they're all playing with really, really good point guards, so that should help them get some good looks. We'll move on to round 4, where I took Derek White and Austin Reeves. You got him at 99. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm huge on Derek White. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later because I have my fair share of thoughts, but I don't want to take the rest of the podcast to talk about them. But you got Reeves at 99. Let's see. So Miles Bridges went 91, which really good chance that ends up being a really good value pick if he's able to get back on track to where he was before missing a season. I think at the time, Derek Lively, I liked that pick, and now I think it was, I don't remember how long ago this was, probably a couple of weeks, but on Twitter, Josh Lloyd was talking about rookies that could start, and I threw out there that Lively has an off chance, I think, because of a lack of competition of starting at center, and the only two or three other starters would be Wemby, Scoot, and Brandon Miller. Probably all three start, assuming a Damian Lillard trade. But he said that according to his sources, Lively is like nowhere near where they want him to be for him to play a lot. So he may not play much off the rip. So that may end up being a little bit high for him. Let's see. Taylor Hendricks, 107. Bilal Coulibaly, 111. Two rookies, no problem there. Daniel Gafford at 118. I think that's going to end up being, at least for this season, a major steal. We'll see how much he's able to stick around past the season, but 100% this year, he's going to be really, really good. And just to that is the Vancouver Care Bears that have Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, Fred VanVleet, and now Daniel Gafford. We'll get into this a little bit later, but I think that's a really good team. And I think Gafford has a really good chance of being a steal here at 118, especially when we look the few picks above him: Clint Capella, Brooke Lopez, Jeremy Sohan, Jordan Clarkson, Spencer Dinwiddie. So if you look, Capella and Lopez, Gafford's doing similar things to Capella, but he's significantly younger. Obviously, Lopez is hitting threes as well, but he's also significantly older. I don't know. What do you think about Gafford at 118?
I like Gafford there. I think you could have him in that discussion that we just had with the Okongwu, Mark Williams, Jalen Duren discussion. He's a little bit older. He's been in the league since 2019 from memory, when he was drafted by the Bulls. I remember watching him at Summer League, and he relies a lot on energy. He's very up tempo, plays the game fast. I'm still not sold on him long term as a sort of a starting center on a good team. But as you said, this season, Washington are rebuilding 30 minutes a night. He's going to be awesome this year. And on that build that you talked about, this team that they have, he's a perfect fit. And even he's sort of one of those guys that even if he isn't a starting center on a good team necessarily, and he's only playing 20, 22 minutes a night, he'll still flirt with top 100 value because he'll score efficiently. He'll get rebounds. He'll get some blocks. So he does enough. I think his floor is safe enough that taking him here, there isn't really much of a risk.
Yeah. Just to keep things moving, we'll go ahead and move to round 5. Just real quick, I'll highlight a couple of their young guys. Anthony Black went 94. Robert Williams went 102. Obviously, his ADP has dropped a little bit. Jeremy Grant went 109. I think that could also be another guy that is really good this season that this could end up being good value for. But if we move to round 5, you got Jaden Hardy at 142. I got AJ Griffin at 149. Let's talk about Zach Collins going 150, mostly because I was really mad I got sniped because I had 2 picks later. I was like, there's no way that he goes Zach Collins here. He's more likely to go AJ Griffin. I'll get AJ Griffin. And then he went Zach Collins, who's, I know we've had this discussion, who's going to start at center this season for them, more than likely. What do you think about, and he could start long past there, because I don't think just because Wemby has a year under his belt that they're like, cool, let's let him play center and just throw him out there against Embiid and Jokic and figure it out. I think that it's a few seasons of, or maybe forever, of somebody else playing center to take more hits down low, guarding post players, and keep Wemby out of foul trouble, keep his body healthy, more playing on the perimeter. I think Zach Collins at 150 is really good value. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I think he starts this season. I mean, if you think back to before he's had a lot of injuries. I think he was back when he was in Portland. He was, I mean, he's been around for a little while. I'd say he's probably 27, maybe something like that. But I do remember when he sort of was younger and he was coming into the league, and he was viewed as sort of this part of this next generation of centers in terms of his skill set. So he could block, he could hit threes, not too bad from the free throw line. So and since then, like he's just dealt with multiple injuries, so he just hasn't played. And other players have sort of adapted their game, and we've seen guys like Karl Anthony Towns come through and sort of take that mantle of perimeter centers that can score from all over the court. But Collins still has that ability, and we saw that last season down the stretch. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he was solid. Final 20 games of the season, hitting threes, blocking shots. So, yeah, I think if he can stay healthy, there's no reason that he can't be a starting center.
Yeah, and he's about to turn 26. Yeah, over the final months, final 9 games for him, he was 30th in 9 cat, according to Basketball Monster. And it's funny because you pull up Basketball Monster and you look at his recent seasons for his stats. It has 2019, 2020, 12 games, and they didn't play the next season. And then 2021, 2022, he played 28 games. So he played 40 games over 3 seasons, finally got to play a full season last year. And as soon as they traded Jakob Poeltl to Toronto, he took off. He's, again, about to turn 26, but he hasn't really gotten to play that many games because of injuries. So I think he's a guy that's going to go under the radar a good bit. Well, now he's not, because a lot of people have written columns about him. I know I have, talking about how good he's going to be this season. So he probably won't eventually go under the radar, but as of now, he still is a little bit, which is probably why he slipped to 150. Unfortunately, he couldn't slip to 152 for me. I know you mentioned that you didn't love your Jaden Hardy pick. But do you have any more thoughts on that, or is there any other picks in this round that you'd rather talk about?
No, look, I think on Hardy, look, I'm just having a look sort of through there now at guys that I could have considered. Jalen Suggs is a guy that I still think has some upside, but he went about, 7 picks before me. I was looking at Dante DiVincenzo here, Bruce Brown, Josh Hart. So they all sort of fitted my build, but I just wanted to go with a bit more youth. And looking back, I sort of went back and had a look at Hardy from last season and the games that he played when Luka was out or when Kyrie was out, and he was given good minutes, and he can certainly score, which is something that I need on my team. So, yeah, I'm not as down on this pick now, and having spoken with a few people, and I think I put something in Discord, maybe, I can't remember where it was. Most people who I sort of trust in this dynasty space said, no, this is a decent pick. It's good upside. So, yeah, no, I'm happy with my pick.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think, Kyrie's going to miss games. Luka will probably miss not as many, but he'll miss a couple. Hardy has the ability to be a 20-point per game scorer. And like you said, with your first few rounds, BI and Cade could average 50. He can give you 20 more, maybe. So I like it. We can move. Actually, I'll highlight a few of the younger guys, especially. Cam Whitmore went 121. Keontae George, 122. Dyson Daniels, 126. That could be a really good upside pick. Tyus Jones, who's going to start for Washington, went 134. Ben Simmons went 137 to joined the Win Now team alongside Paul George, LeBron, and Steph. So he's punting games played apparently, but we'll see if that strategy works out. No, it's obviously talent. Ben Simmons, if it pans out and he's able to play, it's a really good pick. Round 6, have that up there now. I went Grady Dick at 152. You prevented me from getting a third Hawk by going Jalen Johnson at 159. Not that he was actually going to fall all the way back around to me. But I really like that pick because John Collins is gone. Sadiq Bey will probably start at first, but Jalen Johnson is really, really good and has the upside to give you some blocks as well, and just be an athletic force in transition, which is a nice change of pace from spamming pick and rolls, which is what the Hawks do.
Mhm.
And I think he fits in well there. What do you think about your pick?
I like this pick. I'm pretty high on Jalen Johnson. Even for this season, I'm okay with taking him towards the end of a draft final round kind of thing, just to see what his role looks like. When he played last season, he looked really good. I think both him and AJ Griffin will have bigger roles for the Hawks this year. Well, they should have, with John Collins gone. Sadiq Bey's he's solid, but he's not someone that's going to win you a title or anything like that. So, no, look, I really like my Jalen Johnson pick. He picked him mainly for some defensive upside, get me some steals, and other picks in this sort of range that I didn't mind. I don't mind the Obi Toppin pick there at 167. He's flashed some really nice moments in New York, and I think he's probably going to start in Indiana, at least to start to begin the season. I think he'll start. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with a starting role. And I like Peyton Watson at 174 as well. I think Peyton Watson is another guy that I'm okay to take a last round flyer on, even in redrafts, just again to see what his role looks like with Jeff Green gone and with Bruce Brown gone. Because he's looked really good whenever he's been on the court.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 days after the finals, maybe even less than that. Zach Lowe said it, that people in Denver, both coaches, I think, and players, maybe management, I don't remember exactly, somebody in the organization, basically saying that they're hoping Peyton Watson can be a bigger part of their rotation this season. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you have an athletic forward playing alongside Jokic, as we've seen with Aaron Gordon, Watson has some upside. I think that this is a really good pick, especially, if Aaron Gordon doesn't stick around long term. We know Jokic is, and if Peyton Watson's able to fill that role eventually, that's going to be a really, really good pick. Same thing with Obi Toppin. I think that's going to be a fun duo with him and Tyrese Halliburton. Let's see some of the other rookies. And so with Watson, it's like, I want him to go under the radar. And I think he was considered an under the radar guy for a bit, but the hype's already kind of breaking out. He did really well in his 2 summer league games. You might end up having to reach for him a little bit. And it's the same thing with Leonard Miller, who went 179. He was a 2nd round pick, probably shouldn't have been. And I agree with betting on the talent, not betting on draft position or situation, because situation for him isn't great. And you're betting on the talent. I like that. That's totally fine with me, but I want him to be a value pick. I want to get him later on, not have to take him here, which I don't think it's a bad spot to take him. I think it's fine, but he's one of those guys who's just kind of been going really, really early despite being a 2nd round pick. I mean, draft position, where somebody goes, shouldn't dictate everything, but I think it's something that's, kind of something to consider, I guess. I think he was picked 33 or in the 30s. So everybody passed on him for a round. Why? So I think it's something to consider a little bit. Even though he was really good in the G League for G League Ignite. So it was weird that he slipped, but kind of why? Same thing with Cam Whitmore. I'm just kind of like, I like him, but why did he slip? Was everybody just wrong? That happens. But Leonard Miller's a guy that, a lot of upside there. But I'm kind of wondering why. That's it.
Yeah, look, I think he was, as you said, he was really good in summer league. I'm not sure where the minutes come this season with the Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing behind Kyle Anderson, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. I know Kyle Anderson's not going to have as big a role, but he needs to be on the floor for them. He does so much. He showed that last season. So, and Naz Reid, they just paid, so he's going to be in the rotation, playing as I think his role is going to be more than just a backup. I think there'll be times when they want him on the floor alongside Towns as more of a scoring threat. So, yeah, I'm not sure where the minutes come for Miller this year, but long term, I think there's enough upside there that taking him at 179 is completely fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's just interesting to me how there's other, if I'm not mistaken, Jet Howard always falls, and I get it. I didn't have him as a lottery pick. Orlando certainly reached to get him. I think in the general opinion of everybody. But it's just interesting how a second round guy is pretty consistently going earlier than a lottery talent and a lot of first round picks. Just interesting to me. The other first round pick that went, or rookie in general that went in this round, was Kobe Buffkin, went at 153 right after I took Grady Dick at 152. The only other fun pick I see, Russell Westbrook at 170. That's fun. So next, round 7, you went Gabe Vincent 202. I went Al Horford at 209. And Adam, I hate my pick. I hate it so much. I even before I made it, I hated it because I'm like, I don't want Al Horford on my team. It's not because he's bad. It's that he's really old, but 2, he was disrespectful to Atlanta fans when he left by saying that the fans kind of suck and that's why he left. So, as a Hawks fan, I don't like Al Horford, but it was 209. He blocks shots. He's going to be good this year. I took a couple of rookies, so maybe if they're not good, I can start Horford. And it was a business decision. That's all it was. It was a business decision. I did not like having to click draft Al Horford. I needed to make that statement. What were your thoughts about Gabe Vincent going 202?
Look, I'm okay with Vincent there. I think, I don't know. I still think we're yet to see who he is as a player. He had some really good games in the playoffs, obviously, but he had some really bad ones too. So and I only know because I was doing some playoff fantasy and he had a couple of good games and I thought, okay, I'm going to get him in my squad today and see how he goes. And he was like failed to score 0 of 7 from the floor, 2 assists. So he hasn't developed consistency yet as an NBA player. But I think I've seen enough to take him here at 202. He's still, again, he's probably in that age range of 25, 26.
Something like that.
Let me have a look. 27. So he's still in that range where he potentially hasn't hit his peak yet. Not exactly sure what his role is going to be with the Lakers, whether he's going to be starting or backing up D'Angelo Russell. But for the amount that they paid him, I think he's going to be playing more than he was playing in Miami on a consistent basis. So he'll do enough here. He'll give me some threes, some assists, the odd steal. So fits my build. Still a bit of upside. I'm not super excited about it, but I'm not unhappy either.
Yeah. And the other rookies or interesting picks in this round to me, Dariq Whitehead went 182, former 5-star, a lot of injuries at Duke. His draft stock slipped. But the upside's there. Lonzo went 186. Hopefully he plays basketball again. 188, Brandon Podziemski. I hope I pronounced that right. Ousmane Dieng went 190, Bol 191. Jordan Hawkins, 197. He seems to be, along with Jet Howard, the consensus lottery pick that nobody wants in fantasy, which I kind of get with Hawkins, more, even a little bit more so than Jet, because if he's on the floor, I don't really know what he's doing for a category league other than scoring and shooting threes. But also that trying to find minutes for him in New Orleans is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Jonathan Isaac, 205. So we have two guys with Isaac and Lonzo Ball that we hope to see on the floor again. And then Noah Clowney went to 10. Do you have any other thoughts on any of those picks?
No, not really. I like Kenyon Martin this season. I think
Okay.
he's got a nice opportunity in LA. Let's see what he can do. I mean, I don't think his ceiling is super high, but solid enough here. I like Max Christie at 207. He was impressed in the summer league. I'm not really sure where he fits in the Lakers rotation this year, but I think we've seen enough to grab him here, and just in a dynasty, you're just plugging him on your bench and see what happens. And yeah, Lonzo, I don't know. I hope he plays again, because before he went down with that knee injury in Chicago, he looked awesome.
So good. I mean, if he plays again, that is the steal of the draft. And I think that's how it's going to be in every single dynasty startup this year, is whoever gets, if Lonzo Ball plays basketball again, whoever gets him in, this range or even later, steal of the draft. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
All right. Round 8. I got Chris Murray at 212. You went Dennis Smith Jr. at 219. What are your thoughts on DSJ? Is he, what's he doing this year?
Well, hopefully he's playing for my sake. I'm just bringing up his age as well. So still only 25.
Yeah.
So again, fits that sort of 23 to 27. He was good in Charlotte last year when he got minutes. Obviously with Lonzo, with LaMelo out, that helped him. But he also dealt with a couple of ankle injuries as well himself. So no stranger to injury. But I think I grabbed him here just for steals. I think I was really just hunting some late steals and assists. He's not going to score a lot, doesn't hit a lot of threes, which is probably the downside to my squad, is that I've gone guard heavy, but I don't necessarily have anyone in there that's going to light up from the perimeter. They'll all hit some threes, but not a lot. So, yeah, look, I'm okay getting him here. I think he's done enough now I don't think he's ever going to reach what people sort of thought he might be when he was drafted, because he was taken pretty high, I think 5th pick, maybe 7th pick, something like that in the draft. I don't know if
I think 7 or 8 sounds right to me.
7 or 8.
It's totally
pick 9. Okay, pick 9. So 2017, pick 9. So he was sort of seen as this athletic dunking machine who, but he's turned himself into a really good defensive guard, arguably one of the best defensive guards in the league, who can score, can hit threes. He's not very good at it yet, but something that he'll be working on, and sneaky value in assists as well. So I'm not sure, as I said, exactly what his role is going to be in Brooklyn. Dinwiddie is probably going to be the starter, and you would go, okay, well, Smith will be the backup, but I'm also hoping that Ben Simmons can turn things around. And where does he fit in the rotation? Do they play him at point guard, or do they play him as a point forward? So I'm not convinced that he's going to play a ton, but I think he's done enough to sort of earn himself at least 16, 18 minutes a night, most nights.
Yeah. Let's see. Some of the rookies that went: Jalen Hood-Schifino, 211. I went Chris Murray at 212. Didn't really matter where he ended up. Chris Murray is going to be able to play as a rookie. He's not as good as Keegan, but he's a guy who can play from day one. Jeremy Grant is still going to start at power forward, but here's my plan for Portland, and we'll see if they choose to listen to me or not, is trade Damian Lillard this summer and then trade Jeremy Grant at the trade deadline, because he just signed the big contract. For some reason, they signed him to it, and now they owe him however much it is over the next 5 years. But they have Dame wanting out. So you trade Damian Lillard now, or they even wait till the trade deadline. But I think it's smart of them to trade him now, because he's going to show up and play And if they're going to have to trade him away, they don't want to win games. They should trade him now. It's just business. And then you trade Grant as soon as he's eligible to be traded. And then Chris Murray can start at power forward. And that's kind of my plan for them and why I've been trying to get Chris Murray, wherever I can, because he's going to be able to contribute from day one. Jamie Jaquez went 218, Bryce Sensabaugh 220, Marcus Sasser 224, Chet Howard 225. More rookies. That's it for rookies. Cam Thomas 230. A lot of fun picks this round. We'll go ahead and move to round 9. Now that we're getting into the picks that, I think we already have for a couple rounds, but the picks that we didn't get to talk about last time because we hadn't made them yet. You went Javon Carter at 262. I think that's a phenomenal pick.
Yeah, I was happy to get him there. Again, he fits my build. A little bit older than a couple of my other guys, I think. Let me pull up his age. He is 27, so maybe not as old as you think. I'm happy to get him here. I'm not exactly sure, again, what his role, whether he'll start or not in Chicago, but we saw a little bit from him in Milwaukee the last couple of years when he was playing big minutes. When he was starting, he was a really good streaming guy for a week, 2 weeks. Get you some threes, good defensively, some assists. So he does what I need him to do. And if he does start for the Bulls, then he could be, I don't know, top 120 kind of guy if he's getting 28, 30 minutes a night. But the Bulls have got a few guard options, so we'll have to see what their rotation looks like.
Yeah, he's a decent chance to start, and he's a Mountaineer, just like Zach Hanshu, went to West Virginia. So,
yep,
similar talent to Zach, and I think that there's a really good chance he's good in fantasy this season. I went Jordan Walsh at 269. He's another rookie, 5-star prospect out of high school, didn't play well at Arkansas, mainly because he just shot really bad, but he shot really well, or at least pretty well from 3 in summer league. So I was like, heck, why not? He can play defense. If he can shoot okay, then I think Boston can take the time to develop him. Obviously, that's somebody that would sit on my bench for the next 3 to 4 seasons probably, but maybe one day he pans out, maybe quicker than I think, or hopefully anyway. A lot of rookies this round: Tristan Vukcevic, Olivier Maxence Prosper, Amani Bates, which is crazy to me to think because I remember in my home dynasty league 2-3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, saying, okay, I need to keep my 2023 firsts. I think at the time my math may have been off and I thought Wemby was going 2024, but I said I need to keep my 2023 first so that I can get Amani Bates. Like, that's really important to me. I need to get Amani Bates, so I need to keep my firsts. Obviously, he fell off and isn't the same player that he was expected to be, but just funny. Kobe Brown, 250. Alexander Vezenkov, 251. Nick Smith Jr., 256. Trace Jackson Davis, 258. City Sissoko, I hope I said that right, 270. And then my man Cam Reddish at 248. And we will never stop believing in Cam Reddish over here. But it's probably time. It's probably time. But I won't stop believing. Like, I'm not even kidding, Adam. Probably 2 weeks before he got traded from the Hawks, my Cam Reddish jersey, I think I got it for Christmas. So I had my Cam Reddish jersey, had 2, because he was traded in January, wasn't even at the trade deadline. So it may have been 3 weeks. And then he got traded. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I still have it. I'm not getting rid of it. I like it a lot, but it hurt. It hurt.
Well, if he breaks out, it'll be worth money. It'll be retro. It'll be So
like I know I had the Cam Reddish when he was a rookie. I have I have it. Like it's cool. Round 10, I went Lester Quinones. You went Ryan Rollins. The reason I went Lester here, I'm just gonna say Lester, so I don't. If I've said his last name wrong, I don't continue to do it. After Jordan Poole got traded, like shortly after, he's playing in summer league, putting up big numbers, and people are saying, no, he's Jordan Poole. He moves just like Jordan Poole. Like, that's the same player. Also undrafted, also spent time in the G League. I'm like, okay, if he turns into Jordan Poole and the Warriors just kind of do this where they just produce Jordan Poole clones, I'm going to get my hands on him and he's going to be good, or I'm going to trade him and get really good value. One or the other. That's all of my logic for that pick. What do you think about going your pick with Ryan Rollins at 279?
Yeah, so I got Rollins last season in a dynasty league as well, and he obviously he barely played because he broke his foot. But I mean, again, not a dynasty expert, so I don't know a lot about the rookies. I'm getting better at researching them, but I remember when I made the pick of Rollins last year, a few of the other analysts were pretty high on him and said that's a really good pick late. He was a second rounder, I think, from memory for the Warriors, but he was pretty good in summer league. I thought he looked good. He's playing in Washington now, so if they come sort of February, March, if they shut things down, he may get run as a starting point guard in Washington. So, yeah, I think the fact that I had him there, the feedback I got was good on him. I liked what I saw in summer league, so I was okay to get him here. I did consider Kyra Lewis as well, as well as Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn's actually a lot older than people think. That's the reason I didn't go with him. It feels like he's like 25 and he's just been in and out of the league a bit, but I think he's over 30.
He's got to be close because I'm trying to think. I think he was the same draft as Andrew
29,
Wiggins, or maybe he's either 2014 or 15. Maybe he was 16. I think he was 16. He was the year after they went Wiggins, Cat, and then Chris Dunn in 2016, I think.
Yes, he was 2016. Okay. Yep, the fifth pick. I don't know. He's an interesting player because whenever he's on the court, he looks so good. And we saw with Utah last season, he was
excellent.
He was putting up double doubles. He was getting 4 steals a game. But where does he fit in the rotation now? And is anyone going to take him because he'll be almost 30? So that's why I didn't go with him, just because of his age. And Kyra Lewis, I'm pretty high on him as well. He was a guy that I considered there.
Yeah, and he ended up going 286, and Chris Dunn went 297. We will keep moving. We will move to round 11, where you went BJ Boston at 322, and I went, I hope I'm saying this right, Ryan Rupert at 329. Which I only took him because people were saying that he could be the next Nick Batum for Portland, because I think he's a tall guy who was drafted late and can dribble the ball pretty well. So people have said, oh, Nick Batum. And I saw that and said, cool, Nick Batum. 329, why not? So that's kind of what my logic was at pick 329. What was your logic going Brandon Boston at 322?
Look, I mean, Boston hasn't played much. Obviously, he's still in LA, isn't he? I think
with the Clippers, yes.
Yeah. So, hasn't played much, but the very limited court time he's had, he's looked good. He knows how to score. He's still only 21, I think. I remember I looked that up when I drafted him. Yeah, so still only 21. So I've got time here. He's a guy that I can just leave on my bench, and it might be the Clippers aren't young. So Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Nick Batum, all these guys potentially in 2 years, 3 years could have moved on, or Batum could have retired. Who knows? So it could be that in 3 years, 4 years, he's pushing for minutes and he's starting. So purely an upside pick, which is what you're doing at this point of a dynasty draft. You're taking a guy you think might be good at some point in his career, but if he's not, then you're going to be drafting rookies year after year, so that you can just drop these guys if need be.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Matt Lawson and you have, a top probably like 600 at this point, he probably has like everybody in Europe ranked as well. Then maybe you can feel really good here. And there's probably other dynasty analysts that are way more detail oriented than I, and can give you a really good analysis for their pick in round 11 at pick 329. But obviously everybody that listens to me comes for the hard-hitting analysis of I saw somebody on Twitter say he was Nick Batum, and that's why I went with him. Of course, that's reliable sourcing right there.
Yep.
We'll go to round 12, which just if you've never done a 30-team dynasty startup or any sort of dynasty startup where you're getting into past pick 300, it's a grind because you're just trying to find you have one of two options. You take some veteran player that will maybe start even this season, but maybe play minutes this season that you probably don't really want to draft because you don't really know what they're going to like, how much they're actually gonna be able to give you. Or you take some upside swing on some rookie you've heard of once or twice ever, and you just gotta kind of cross your fingers. That's what I did here with, again, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but Tariq Biberovic. If I'm not mistaken, he's a Euro stash for the Grizzlies, and he played pretty well in Summer League. I think at this point I was just looking at rookies and just trying to take some upside swings. I have no idea if that pick is going to pan out or not. You went George Niang, who should hit some threes this year. And I'm assuming that's why you took him.
That's exactly why I took him, because as I said earlier, I have gone guard heavy, and I just felt there'll probably be some weeks when I just need a guy to come in and give me like 8, 10 3-pointers for the week, or 15 3-pointers. And Niang's, he's 30, so he's a little bit older, but he's not super old. He's playing in Cleveland. They need floor spacing. They need perimeter scorers. He's not going to start, I don't think. Well, look, I mean, maybe he does, but even if he's playing 18, 20 minutes a night, he can give me 3 threes, 2.5 threes a game in that time. So he's more of a guy that I'm just going to call on based on matchup. So if I'm against a team that's got a similar build to me or strong in 3-pointers, I might, and Niang has 4 games, I might just throw him in as my final roster piece for the week and hope that he catches fire and gives me a handful of 3-pointers.
Yeah, and that's again, that's kind of what you're doing at this point. So we'll move on. The final round, round 13, where honestly, I want to give you pick of the draft, but this would have been a golden opportunity for you to take Dante Exum, and you didn't do it. And we would have had a reason to talk about him.
Well, we are talking about
him. No, like that's why I'm bringing this up, is to name drop him, because we have to keep it up. We have to keep the bit going. But you did go Udonis Haslem, which we addressed earlier, as I think you have a good chance of winning Coach of the Year for our league. Like, you have the guy that's going to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, look, this was obviously, I know he's retired, so this was just he probably hasn't been picked in Dynasty for the last 10 years. He hasn't played for 10 years. So this was more just, look, let's get him in a squad, get that ADP up. So his ADP might be 780 now or something. So it's, this was always obviously a pick that I was going to drop.
Yeah.
And I am dropping him right now.
Oh, nice.
I'm putting
in cap space for Jordan Poole. I like it.
Actually, I'm going to put a 0 submit claim. All right, let's see. I have just put in a bid, and I hope no one watches this show.
Who'd you put a bid in for?
Dante Exum. He will be making his way onto my roster.
I might have to put $1 bid down and drop Onuralp Bitim. Which I know, the other ones I was like, I may have pronounced this wrong. I know I pronounced that wrong. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. I saw he signed a 2-way contract with Chicago earlier the day before I drafted, and said, "Cool, I'll take it." That was my logic. Was I saw he signed a contract. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I should take the later rounds more seriously, and I'm sure a lot of dynasty analysts do. But I like to have fun. So I was like, hey, I'll take this guy. And now if I want to make a trade and trade away picks to get a good player, I don't even have to worry about who to drop, because I already know who I'm going to drop. and there's plenty of guys to drop. So I'm not as stressed about that. But yeah, that was round 13. I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this are in-depth dynasty players. So I'm going to drop a few names of just who's going in round 13 of a 30-team startup. Because, if you've done a 30-team startup, you probably are like, oh, okay, like, that's fine. But then if you've never done one before and you're just listening to this for the first time, you're probably just going to laugh because you may not have even heard of some of these guys. Demoy Hodge, I believe he's a rookie, just went. Nathan Knight, Hawks legend Nathan Knight went 379. Craig Porter, 381. Keon Ellis was 390. I'm sure Onuralt did him. I said it again. I know it's wrong. I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of him, but hey, that's what happens in 30-team dynasty startups. We get to talk about or make fun picks at the end of the draft. But since there's not exactly a ton of analysis here, because again, it's fun and I'm taking my dart throws, but there's not, unless you're going to literally be, which Matt Lawson, I know he does it. So he could give you a really good analysis of pick 390, but a lot for most people at this point, you're, oh my gosh, it's been 2 weeks of this slow draft. Please, can we just finish so I can make trades? And you're just grabbing somebody. Cool. Not a ton of thought. There's still guys here that are going to be rotation players this season. Gary Harris, Patrick Beverly went. So there's rotational pieces, potential starters. Joe Harris, Darius Baisley, Pat Connaughton. So they go late because they don't really have much upside, but that's kind of the end of a dynasty 30-team startup. We've had 2 trades that have happened. Hopefully a third if Adam can get his trade talks going for Jordan Poole. But we had Tyrese Maxey for Wendell Carter Jr. and 2 first-round picks. And when I was looking at that earlier, the team that got Wendell and the 2 first-round picks has Giannis, Rudy Gobert, and Jakob Poeltl. So adding in another really good rebounder with Wendell Carter and getting 2 first-round picks, I like that trade for him. And let me look up the roster of the guy who got Maxey. What are your thoughts on the trade while I'm looking that up?
Yeah, look, I think it's probably okay. I'm not experienced with dynasty trades at all. Maxey's obviously the best player there, so that makes sense. The 2 first-round picks, I don't know. To me, 1 first-round pick might have made more sense, but again, I could be way off there, and it sort of depends on, like, a first-round pick in a dynasty. If you're making a trade, could be pick 3 or it could be pick 29. So you need to have a look at who you're trading with. Anyone who's done dynasty will know this. You need to look at who you're trading with and have a run through their squad and go, okay, well, where are you going to be finishing next season? Because if you're going to be finishing first or second, you're not going to get a high draft pick. And so who is this player going to be? Is it going to be like the guy you just took at 200 or 390 or whatever, whose name we couldn't pronounce? Or is it going to be a rookie that could produce from day one? So, but I think it's fair. Look, I think if that's who you want, then you need to sometimes pay up, which maybe I'll do for Jordan Poole.
Yeah. And the team that got Maxey has Tyrese Halliburton, MPJ, Pascal Siakam, and Jonas Valanciunas starting alongside him. So that's a really good team. And I have no issue with giving up the first, especially if they're going to be late round first and you're planning on winning. I like that trade. I like it for both teams because, Wendell Carter probably fits. I'm trying to remember the team name. Let me pull it up. Fits Houston Mills Street Cafe a lot better than Saturday Croon Club. Also, I'm realizing now that for some reason I totally missed a trade and didn't put it on the slideshow. So if you're watching the video, there's a missing trade, which I'm going to say now. It was Drew Holiday for DeAnthony Melton, a first-round pick, and Nick Smith Jr. So Drew Holiday joins We the North. Melton Smith and the pick head to the Long Island Nets, who has Sadiq Bey, John Collins, Melton, Jabari Smith, and Jason Tatum starting, whereas We the North has Embiid, Tyler Hero, Drew Holiday, Kyrie Irving, Mitchell Robinson. So yeah, I think that trade is pretty even. But if Melton gets a chance to start, then I think that could end up being skewed a little bit towards that team. But having a team with Embiid, Harrow, Drew Holiday, Kyrie, and Mitch Robinson gives you a really good chance to win a championship.
Yeah, I think just on the surface when you read it out, it sounded a little bit, not lopsided, probably not the right word, but Drew Holiday's quite old now. Melton, as you said, if he starts, he's not as good as Drew Holiday, but in terms of dynasty, I wouldn't have them too far apart. I'd probably only have them a few rounds apart. With those other pieces, I'm not sure. But yeah, look, Drew Holiday just seems to keep plugging away and doing what he does year after year. So he could have another 3-4 years of top 50 production.
Definitely. And then the final trade, which is on the slideshow if you're watching, a bigger one, it was Spencer Dinwiddie and Steven Adams for Noah Clowney, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and 2 first-round picks. Again, the team that has Jordan Poole traded away Adams and Dinwiddie for 2 rookies and 2 first-round picks. So I'm assuming that if he is able to trade Jordan Poole, maybe to you, that he'll be all in on the tank and might be tanking for whoever is the number 1 pick next year. Whereas the Panama Canaleros, and I apologize if I said that incorrectly, adds Dinwiddie and Steven Adams to Jokic, Levine, DeMar, Miles Bridges, Zach Collins, Chris Paul. That's a win now team right there if I've seen one. So I think that again, that I think that's a good trade for both sides. And I know that doesn't happen often in the NBA or it doesn't happen often in redraft leagues, but I feel like it happens a good bit in Dynasty, and it's easy if one team is trying to go completely in one direction and another team is trying to go completely in another, and it all just depends on how those draft picks pan out.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot more moving parts in a Dynasty because you're not just looking at the next 12 months, you're looking at forever potentially. So as you said, yeah, on the surface you go, okay, maybe not. But when you look at the squads and the team that's getting Adams and Dinwiddie, it really just solidifies them as probably the team to beat this season. Without going into depth on other rosters, that's going to be a hard team to beat.
Yeah. And I was planning on us talking about some teams that could win or like have a really good chance of winning the championship, or teams that might be tanking for the number 1 pick. But since we've already gone an hour and a half, or almost, actually an hour and a half, we're not going to do that. I'm going to pull this up as we're kind of signing off. The industry roundtable. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with that?
Yeah, so it was just, there's obviously limited content at the moment. This is probably the deadest period for fantasy analysts, starting to do things like player outlooks and stuff for next season. But a lot of that is under the table stuff that's not necessarily going up on any sites or anything. So I just thought that I'd reach out and as with everything, there was a lot of uptake from analysts who also don't have a lot to do or have some free time at the moment. So we're just doing a weekly roundtable article, different theme every week. So this was the first episode here that you've got on the screen, which was hot takes. The second one was, what did I do for the second one? I can't even.
I think a player that we think is
breakout. Yeah, like an early sleeper kind of guy. Was the second one, and then the next, the one that'll come out next week will be guys. I just asked everyone to suggest a player that they think could break into the first round this season who has never been a first round player. If everything lines up, so they're not necessarily going to be a first round player, but have the upside to do that. So yeah, we'll probably just do one of these every week for the next couple of months, I guess. And then once the season starts, if people are keen to do a weekly one, I only ask for a paragraph, so it's only 5-10 minutes work. So we might keep it coming. But there's your guy there, pre-haircut.
Pre-haircut. That's key. I think so if you're not watching and you haven't followed me on Twitter, my hot take was that Derek White will be a top 50 player in 9-cat scoring, which there was, a lot of people had opinions because I think there were some other people that really liked Derek White this season and some other people that are a little bit more hesitant, which is fine. I mean, his best finish was 85th, which was not this past season, the season before. But my thing with Derek White, and this, you can look at the individual numbers and, should jump a little bit with Marcus Smart traded and Derek White definitely starting at point guard. His points are going to jump a couple here, assists jump a couple here. He's a really good shot block. Like, we can talk about those things, but the main thing for me is that he's never been or really had the opportunity to be like the starting point guard for a team, because before he was traded to Boston, he was, I don't remember exactly, I may have it in this column, but which actually, let me see if I do. So I don't have it in there. I don't remember which column, because I've written like 3 now. He was playing alongside DeJounte Murray and was putting up really, really good numbers, but he didn't have the ball in his hands because DeJounte did. But his value dropped a little bit. He only finished 85th because when he was traded to Boston, he was coming off the bench. And that was the main thing. So now he's starting. He has better teammates than he did in San Antonio, and he's going to have the ball in his hands. And when I say starting at point guard, I think that means different things to different people. I don't believe that they're now going to start spamming pick and rolls with Derek White and Robert Williams and just let Derek White go to work. He's not that kind of player, and they would be stupid, obviously, to do that. But I think when you look at his ability to play off the ball and let Tatum and Jaylen Brown create, but also play with the ball in his hands, play really good defense, and you're just adding to his minutes. I think, before when he was starting, he was more of a shooting guard. Now he's the point guard. So I think the assists will go up. Defensive numbers will be there. He'll be tasked with guarding premier ball handlers pretty often, because before it was him and Marcus Smart splitting duties. Now he's probably going to be the guy that whenever he's on the floor, he's guarding the guy with the ball. So if you're looking at them, I mean, playing Atlanta, or Dallas, it's a really good fit before with Smart and Derek White, kind of splitting Kyrie and Luka, or Trey and DeJounte. But now it's every team, Derek White's going to be guarding the best ball handler. So I think that helps his steals a little bit. He played 82 games last season. I'm not expecting him to do that again, but he should play a lot and play more minutes. So I think that, finishing in the top 50 isn't as outlandish as I feel like it seems that it could be, because I'm banking on him having a good season. So I think that's pretty straightforward. I think he's going to play well. It's not like he's going to have a good season and also he's going to have a bad shooting season, but he's still going to finish top 50. Like, obviously, if he's just not shooting very well, that's not going to happen. And that's fine. But I think he's going to play well and has a really good opportunity. Hence my top 50 statement. Do you think that top 50 is possible?
I think it's possible. I don't think I'm as confident as you. I think he'll have a really good year, but that was the idea of the article. It was hot takes. Like it was things that everyone's going to have their guys and their favorites, and as I do, obviously, with my hot take here as well. I think White will be really good. I think he can be top 50. Will he be? I don't know. Time will tell. We'll see. But
we shall see.
But I had a similar hot take with a different player. Markel Fultz will be top 50. And he's a guy that hasn't been top 50 before, had a pretty, like a well-documented, interesting start to his career with the whole shoulder shooting thing. But I thought he was really good last year. Anthony Black coming in worries me a little bit, but I do think it's probably going to be Gary Harris that's moved. Maybe Cole Anthony at some point, I'm not sure. To me, it would be Fultz and Jalen Suggs as the two starting guards initially, but that may or may not be the case. But I do think Fultz starts. Doesn't hit a lot of threes, but he gets assists, he gets steals. He's efficient from both the free throw line and the field. He can hit threes, so it's not a element of his game that doesn't exist. He does hit some threes, but it's not what he's built on. He's built on getting to the basket. So yeah, look, I just like to think that he'll step things up again. He was 70th last season. And it did take him a little while to get going because he missed the start of the year due to injury. So, yeah, look, much like you with your Derek White take, I just like Fultz. I like his game, what he's been able to do. He's sort of been able to get through all of that early stuff that derailed him a little bit, and then he's turned into a really good NBA guard.
Yeah, I think top 50 is very possible. Like you said, 70th last season in ACAT, despite not playing at the beginning of the year and having to just catch up. I think an extra year of chemistry with his teammates, that's like top 50s very much on the table for him. Especially after, I mean, he wasn't just missing the first month, I think it was, and then playing, like he only played 26 games over the past 2 seasons. So I think, getting his legs back under him after so many injuries to start his career, top 50 is very possible. So hot takes are fun. That's why we talk about them. But
yeah.
So we talked about the roundtable column. What else do you have coming up? Like, are we getting some more rankings soon? What else do you have coming up for FBI?
Yeah, so we'll have the hot take art or the roundtable articles will continue to come out, as I said, once a week. We've got Karan doing stuff for us now. He's sort of doing an article weekly. It's not set in stone yet, timing wise, but generally it's once a week. We've got some mock, like I just like drafting, so I always have mock drafts on the go. We're in the middle of a dynasty one at the moment, which I've been tweeting out, and I did just notice that you took Derek White with your last pick, and you're now on the clock again. So yeah, you took Derek White at what's that, 103, so 98 or something.
Had to
pick 98. So yeah, look, that might be something that because obviously I have my Balls Deep show as well going, but it leans a little more into redraft stuff with Dr. A because neither of us are dynasty sort of guys. But I mean, once this mock draft's finished, the industry one we're doing, maybe I come back on your show and we talk about it on here.
Absolutely,
we'll chat. But then we're going to have an auction mock draft coming up, which we'll do live on my show. Doc and I will be hosting, much like we did with the redraft mock draft a few weeks ago. I've never really done an auction draft, not properly, so that's part of the reason I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to host it. But it'll be interesting because I'm doing a couple of auction drafts this season, so it'll be good to do an auction mock. So that's what's coming up. Player rankings, I'm always updating them. And I've actually got a couple of ideas floating around in my head for maybe articles or maybe some really long Twitter threads, much like what Zach did one, I think, the other day, which was huge. So I might, I've got a few ideas for that in the next couple of weeks when I get a spare hour to put it together.
You are notorious for the long Twitter threads of really good information, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. As far as the auction, I've never done an auction draft either, so we'll see. I saw when Josh Lloyd hosted the Dynasty Mock with Matt Lawson the other day, someone commented and said, LOL, do people still do snake drafts? You need to be doing auction drafts. And Josh was like, yeah, like I like auction drafts better too, but I'm not hosting a 4-hour show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would say keep that in mind. I'm looking forward to trying an auction draft, but we'll see if you and Dr. A can keep talking for 4 hours straight.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one. And maybe we just do the first. Well, I don't know. It's one of those things you sort of think, well, okay, we'll just do the first half of the draft and then it won't matter. But it actually will matter because at the back end of an auction draft, you're going to see which guys you can get for $1 or $2 that you might have ranked higher. Or so it's not like a snake draft where the talent going off the board necessarily gets weaker as you go through the draft. It's going to go up and down a lot. So, yeah, we'll see. The aim is to do the whole show live, but it's going to be a long one. So we'll see.
We shall see, but it'll be a lot of fun, and that's all we can ask for. But I've already taken enough of your time, enough of your Saturday. I know it's still early, but it's almost 2 hours. So I still need to eat dinner. So we're going to go ahead and call it an episode. Adam, thank you so much for joining me again. He talked about what he's got coming up. Make sure that you are checking it out and following him on Twitter at AdamKing91. But that is going to do it for episode 17 of the Tank Me Later podcast. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, mate. No.